Hello and welcome to the OCVarsity Gridiron Show, Week 5. I am your host, Jonathan Khamis, being joined by our prep school experts, Dan Albano and Steve Fryer, where it's 106 degrees out, and these guys are so professional, they're wearing collared shirts. Me, not so much. All right, guys, let's go with our stars of Week 4. Steve, I'll start with you. A wide receiver this week.
Yeah, Jacob Huff of San Juan Hills. In a 38-6 win over Huntington Beach, he had 10 catches for 119 yards and 3 touchdowns. They had a new quarterback in there, Kid Rodriguez. Throw it to Huff, you're going to be okay if you're a newcomer into a game. He'll take care of you, Jacob Huff will.
All right, I got a chance to see Jay Sarah for the first time this week, guys, and as you guys were in previous weeks, I was impressed, especially with the quarterback, Matt Robinson. He had 352 yards passing, 4 touchdowns through the air, and he even caught 2 touchdowns. Some trick plays there, Dan. We were there to watch it in Long Beach. But, Dan, you have a defensive guy, and he's a young buck.
Yeah, Defensive Player of the Week, sophomore Ricky Lane from Yorba Linda is a safety, had 3 interceptions in a 21-6 victory over El Dorado. And he also contributed on the offensive side, 7 catches for 93 yards and 1 touchdown. So a young guy, but had a great game. Ricky Lane of Yorba Linda.
Okay, let's transition now to Week 5, where our game of the week, well, first of all, let me preface this, guys. Only 2 of our top 10 teams are playing this week because so many teams played in Week 0. So, our game of the week this week, we have a good one. Cypress at Capistrano Valley. Cypress beat El Rancho last week, 35-10. Alex Ashcraft had a really good game, 127 yards passing and 2 touchdowns passing. They have actually Tustin following this week. Steve, Cypress, Capistrano Valley, where do they rank in your top 25? And what do you look for in this matchup?
Well, Cypress, they're about number 22 or 23. I'm still tabulating everybody's votes. And Capistrano Valley is going to pop in about 14 or 15 or 18, somewhere in that frame. I think that's about right. Capistrano Valley looking really good. I think they're going to really push El Toro for the championship of the Seaview League. So pretty solid team. As Dan Albano will tell you, they got a heck of a quarterback in Kevin Brown.
Yeah, they sure do, Dan. Capistrano Valley beat Trabuco Hills 17-10. They actually trailed and scored 17 consecutive points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that was a gutsy victory, bounce back victory for the Cougars. But I think the intriguing thing for this game, I think we know that Capo's pretty good, and Fryer's right on it. But the thing is, the question of this game is how good is Cypress. They're 4-0, and I talked to Coach Feldman today. He said this is going to be their biggest test by far. Cypress only won 2 games last year, and they're already doubled that already. And Coach Feldman said their key players so far, Jeremiah Thompson and Dominique Thompson, not related, but have been doing a great job for Centurions.
2 things. We're at Brethren Christian High School today. I didn't mention that at the top of the show. We are going to have an OCVarsity Gridiron Extra that explains why we're here. That's right, Steve. Don't get confused now. We talked to some players, and you're really going to want to check it out. It'll be a fun show. You mentioned we'll find out how good Cypress is. Well, we might find out this week how good Buena Park is, because Buena Park is 4-0. They are at St. Francis of It's not Canada. It's
La Cañada.
Oh, I love the roll of the tongue there, Steve. Okay, the Coyotes were off last week. Their last victory, they beat Pioneers 67-0. They have outscored opponents 193-6. They average 48 points per game. But their teams are combined 2-15-1 and are not in our top 10. Steve, is this the first test of the Coyotes' young season?
Yeah, definitely. We're all anxious to see what day is going to happen where Buena Park is going to beat La Habra. Every year, they've got a better team. Buena Park's getting better. The program's getting more solidified foundation-wise. They've got guys, they've got star players and all that. Do they have the depth top to bottom and all the things you need to beat La Habra? We don't really know yet because, like Jonathan was saying, the teams that Buena Park has beaten so far are 2-15-1 cumulative record. This is going to be a good test for the Buena Park Coyotes. I'm anxious to see how this one turns out.
On the other hand, St. Francis, they're all about winning in close games, which Buena Park doesn't really know much about. St. Francis beating Dorsey last week 34-28. The week before that, the week before that, they beat Lacerna 24-21. So do you think that plays a factor into this game, that the fact that St. Francis has played close games, Buena Park has not?
Yes, I do. I think that's you gain that's invaluable experience, that in-game experience. You know, you have to be in the fire and with the game on the line and know how to perform and pull it out. And you know, St. Francis has that advantage. But this is good for Buena Park. They're going to have a good test, and it's going to get them ready. We know how tough the Freeway League is, fellas. I mean, every game is very competitive in that. And this is an interesting game for you know, two reasons. Is that you got both these teams are ranked in Division III, so this is a divisional matchup. It's on the road, so that will toughen up Buena Park. And the other thing is that St. Francis, their quarterback is Michael Bonds, who Orange County fans are very familiar with because he's the transfer from Newport Harbor, outstanding Division I prospect. So it's going to be an interesting game.
The name is Bonds.
Jimmy Bonds. Oh, that's his dad or his brother or something.
Michael Bonds.
I
you
joking.
ruined
No.
it, Steve.
No,
you ruined it.
I just couldn't remember.
Yeah,
you know.
sure he did. Sure he
No,
did. Okay.
Jimmy Bonds,
okay.
man.
Well, let's get to our final.
Remember?
Let's get to our
Quarterback,
final
UCLA.
game before you know he tries to cover this up. All right, 2 4-1 teams going at it. Whittier Christian at St. Margaret's. Guys, Whittier Christian, they keep on rolling. They beat Duarte last week, 55-20. Commons, after his CIF record-breaking performance last week. Only 4 touchdowns. Come on, man. You're slacking. Nah, we're kidding here on the Gridiron Show. Steve, your thoughts? We all know St. Margaret's is a perennial favorite every single year. They're a powerhouse. And Whittier Christian, they're knocking on the door.
You know what? Maybe the 3 best small schools, as we call them, private schools around here are the one we're staying at right now, Brethren Christian, St. Margaret's, and Whittier Christian. And Khamis just a junior. I keep looking at the numbers and go, man, what's he gonna, what's this kid doing? And so this is a really interesting game for both of them. Whittier Christian last week got the big win, as you mentioned, over Duarte. Duarte was 3-0 going into that game, so that's a pretty significant win. I was curious how that would go. They beat him by a lot more than I thought, and St. Margaret's just keeps rolling. I mean, you know, Coach Barbie just, you know, he keeps that tradition going back all the way to Brady Locke when he first, you know, got that thing going a long time ago. And threw a good name at you there, Danny. But Jeepers, they've been so good. You know, Coach Welsh, Hitchens was there for a little bit as well. And it's really fun to see St. Margaret's just keep that thing going. The level of athletics that we have in small schools right now in Orange County is really
Scary.
good. And across the board in a lot of sports. This is going to be a really fun game. I'm anxious to see how this one turns out. I don't know who to pick on this one. I still got to do my research on it, but man, it's almost a coin flip game from looking at it from this vantage point.
You never know. That's why they play the game.
Sir.
Okay, St. Margaret's, Dan, they defeated Laguna Beach, I believe like 38-0. I mean, that was a shutout there. That's a bigger school, obviously, and St. Margaret's rolled all over them. You heard what Steve had to say. What do you have to say about this matchup?
Well, you know, and we've been talking a lot about Quinn Commons, and rightfully so, but I think you can't forget about the other quarterback in this matchup, which is George Krantz. And checked in with Coach Barbie today. You know, Krantz is 73 for 127 in attempts, so he's completing a high percentage, already thrown for 1,000 yards and 17 TDs. And there's also a Tartans running back that I know has been on Friar's radar because he's written about it a little bit. But there's a running back there at St. Margaret's, Koa Todd. He's already rushed 50 times for almost 400 yards, and you know, he's got a couple catches as well. So he's a emerging running back. And they also have Austin Locke, who's one of the better you know, small school receivers. You know, 24 receptions for almost 500 yards. So going to be an explosive game. And you know, I got to say, one other thing is, you know, here we are at Brethren Christian. You know, and then we're talking about Whittier Christian. Whittier Christian narrowly lost to the team that the Brethren Christian's playing this week, that Rancho Christian, and that score was 38-34. So a lot of these small schools are crossing, you know, paths with some common opponents. So this will be a great week to get some gauge on how good all these small schools like Friar is talking about. How do you rank them? Well, we got this a couple common opponents that's going to help.
I'm going to be at Korean Lutheran Capistrano Valley Christian on Thursday. I'm looking forward to seeing how that one rolls out. I think Korean's the better of the team, but you know, so I'm anxious to see, because that way, you know, you get kind of a better idea about, you know, how these things are all going to shake out when we get into, even though they're not in the league, you know, because the Academy League, it's only 3 schools left because Sage Hill had to go play 8-man ball. Which is a good idea for them, I think. I think they're having a lot of fun with that. So these kind of games is when you kind of really get a good feel for trying to sort out who's really the better of these private small school programs.
Yeah, I think we'll have a lot of good answers this week, bottom line. All right, thanks to Dan Albano. Thanks to Steve Fryer. We'll talk about Brethren Christian on the OCVarsity Gridiron Extra Show. Until then, make sure to keep it locked onto OCVarsity.com all weekend long, including Thursdays and Saturdays. OCVarsity.com, where we've got you covered.